Advisory Council member, pastor president of the Pope Villa Committee. We'd like to ask you to come up and join us. You come stand. And while they to the front. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Coleman, Executive Director of the Bluegrass Trust for Historic Preservation. And welcome to Latrobe's Pope Villa. And this is a very special detour to kick off National Preservation Month. It is so wonderful to see an eager crowd of fellow preservationists, and I'm especially grateful to our state, our local leaders who are here, especially grateful for Mayor Gordon for attending. We really do appreciate it. But before we open the doors and invite you all to come in for self-guided tours of this amazing structure, it is my honor to share with you a momentous announcement in the history of Latrobe's Pope Villa. On Monday, the Board of Directors of the Bluegrass Trust officially adopted a development agreement for a $3.4 million rehabilitation of Latrobe's Pope Villa. We will be entering a partnership with Mitchell Park Companies, a preservation-focused development firm based in Washington, D.C. Last year, you might recall, to ensure the long-term preservation of Latrobe's Pope Villa, the Bluegrass Trust issued a request for expressions of interest, seeking to partner with a viable, sustainable use for this nationally significant building and the financial resources to obtain a full rehabilitation. After careful review, Mitchell Park's proposal was selected. Upon completion of construction, the secondary rooms of the villa will be available for lease as boutique light-use office space. The primary rooms will be shared space for the tenants, but will also remain accessible to the public, offering educational opportunities about the villa's fascinating history and its many inhabitants. The rehabilitation will largely follow the Pope Villa Restoration Master Plan, which was developed and adopted by the Bluegrass Trust back in 2018 by the New York-based firm of Messick, Cohen, Wilson, and Baker. And this was generally funded by a grant from the Lexington Fayette Urban County government. We're very grateful. And final rehabilitation plans will be subject to approval by both the Kentucky State Historic Preservation Office and the National Park Service. And preservation easements will be placed on both the interior and the exterior of the building. Financing for the project will include a mix of private investments, donations restricted to the use of Pope Villa, and public funds, such as historic tax credits. And Mitchell Parks will be working with us closely over the next several months to secure the remaining of the financing required to bring this project to completion. A major funding boost for the project comes from a $478,000 Save America's Treasures grant from the National Park Service. Those are the details. This is the fun part. You know, when I had the honor of sharing this news with long-term champions of Pope Villa, it was amazing to see, as we've sort of shared this news with stakeholders, the excitement, the love of this building. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Barbara. But when I was chatting with Barbara Hewlett, who, of course, the grand dame of preservation in Kentucky, you said, this is like a dream come true. And indeed, today does mark the culmination of a dream 4 decades in the making, made possible by scores of dedicated and passionate preservationists who had the foresight and the vision to step up and ensure its preservation. Many of those preservationists are here today, and I want to extend a special thank you for your service. It's thanks to you our board of directors, and this creative public-private partnership, Latrobe's Pope Villa will be restored, open to the public, its future secured and sustainable with a long-term use. Even more, yeah, that's a good one. Agreed, lots to clap about. Even more, over the next 3 years, this project will inject over $3 million into our local economy. That's a lot of jobs for Fayette County. The rehabilitation of Latrobe's Pope Villa is an incredible example of the gospel we preach every day at the Bluegrass Trust, that an investment in preservation pays dividends for all of us. It embodies a unique sense of place. It connects us to our diverse and fascinating histories. It helps save our environment, but it also has an immense economic impact, good, thoughtful preservation development, and we could not be more pleased. I would like to now welcome someone we've gotten very close over the past 6 months. I'd like to welcome Mark Latenzi. He is the principal for Mitchell Parks. He has joined us today from Washington. But before he speaks, Haviland Argo, representing many Lexingtonians who have long supported this project, would like to present you, Mark, with a special token of appreciation and welcome.
Well, I think we'd like to present you with something.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, if you could. Sure.
I'm just trying to stick to the script.
Yeah. One second. Thank you. My name is Haviland Argo, and thank you, Mark. I'm an architect and historic preservation enthusiast. I'm part of a small group of individuals calling ourselves Friends of Pope Villa, and I'm joined today by friends Sharon Reed and Daniel Rowland. Friends Patrick Snaden and Nancy Walsh could not be here today. As co-author, along with Dan and Nancy, of the Save America's Treasure Grant application, signed by the Bluegrass Trust President Mike Moiser and Executive Director John Coleman, thanks to both of them for their leadership and the responsibility that they assumed on behalf of the trust when they signed our application. Additional thanks to Mike Moiser and his son Lyndon for many years for lawn maintenance and local watchdog status while they lived in the neighborhood. Further, we thank the trust for the thoughtful care and attention they gave to this building in the decades since the major fire. Thank you to Jackson Osborne, Zach Leonard, and Missy Piankowski. Thank you to Barbara Hewlett, Tom Moore, Janie Fergus, and many, many more people who have supported this building as a guest, as a volunteer, or a financial contributor to this project. You have saved what many to believe the most important federal-era America building. We would like to thank Craig Potts, Executive Director and State Historic Preservation Officer at Kentucky Heritage Council, for his guidance and integrity. Finally, as we look to the bright future announced today, we would also like to thank Mr. Mark Latenzi and Mitchell Park Companies, chosen by the Trust to shepherd the building through its next permutation. Not only does Mark recognize the architectural significance of the building, the impact it has had on the city of Lexington and its role in our nation's history, he recognizes its future potential. Benjamin Henry Latrobe envisioned this house as a new model for domesticity in the young republic called America. Similarly, Mr. Latenzi sees this building as a new model for preservation, for public-private endeavors, and for community enrichment. Understanding the value of this building for the public as a cultural artifact, as an architectural gem with great significance, Mark has committed to making sure this building remains an accessible cultural asset, open to the public, and as it assumes a new function. Thank you, Mark. In recognition of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with a copy of Patrick Snaden's book, The Domestic Architecture of Benjamin Henry Latrobe, and editor Dan Rowland's book, Bluegrass Renaissance. Recognizing the physical weight of words in addition to their non-physical weight, we will gladly have them delivered to your office. That's why I asked you. You might beat the 75-pound weight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate the introduction. Very happy to be here today. As he mentioned, my name is Mark Latenzi with Mitchell Park Companies. We are a Washington, D.C. based historic property development firm. We operate out of the nation's capital, and Latrobe is someone certainly no stranger to myself. Having lived in the district for the better part of 12 years, I would say that I have remained there primarily because of the city's beauty and its architecture, like nothing else that you can find in this entire country. But then again, here we are in Lexington. And so when I first learned of this building, it was through the RFP process that the trust had put forth, and it was extremely exciting to even have the consideration of playing a part in a project like this. And so I'm very pleased to be here today and to play what is ultimately going to be, I think, a small role in its very long history. And so as I think about the journey ahead, all projects like this are truly a journey, some even a saga, but it really gives me a lot of peace that there has been so much done for this building, its design, its history. It has been combed over, it has been researched, it has been toured, and that is nothing short of incredible. The amount of information, the sheer volume of historical and architectural data, as evidenced by some of these items that are available to us. These projects do not happen overnight, obviously, but you know, I almost see this redevelopment as having started a long time ago, and where we are simply going to be picking up the torch. It's going to tremendously help the process and speed up a lot of our plans and the overall process. So for that, I am truly grateful. Sometimes when we redevelop buildings, we get maybe a box of information, historical data, maybe a few boxes, sometimes no boxes. But just in my short time here this week, I have learned of no less than, I think Mike said, 40 bankers boxes a few miles that way, models in Havlin's home right here, and also more information to be discovered and used in my own backyard, the Library of Congress, at the National Archives. Honestly, the list goes on. And so being able to put all of that to work, being able to dust off and refresh some of that information along with actual brick and mortar restoration is really special. I cannot emphasize that enough. As Jonathan mentioned, this project is going to be made possible by a mixture of private and public funds. In no small part, a Save America's Treasures grant from the National Park Service that Havlin had mentioned, and also state and federal historic tax credits. I can say for sure that a project like this would not be feasible without some of these very vital resources. It is perhaps no surprise that if you were to consider on a per square foot basis the cost of a restoration like this, you could build multiple houses. And it's oftentimes, as unfortunate as it may be, it is oftentimes much less expensive to tear something down and build something new than it is to restore or rehabilitate a property. And in a state like Kentucky that has a great historic tax credit, which I will forever applaud state leaders and as well as the local constituents for championing that. I cannot stress that enough. And just to drive that point home, closer to my home, there is a town called Bristol, and it is in Virginia, but it's also on the border of Tennessee. And Tennessee does not have a historic preservation tax credit program, and so you could imagine which side of the street has been redeveloped and is thriving. And now, I think Bristol is happy to say that the success on the Virginia side of that street has bled over to the Tennessee side. But Tennessee remains one of the few states that doesn't have state incentives, and you can tell if you are in any city, from Nashville to Chattanooga to Memphis, you know, it's evident. And in a place like Kentucky, at the same time, you can also tell that is in place, and it is more important than ever. And so, all of these kinds of programs are always in a state of flux, while they may be permanent. You know, as the decades go by, inevitably things change, and even today, some of these historic preservation programs and funds are at risk. And so, I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but I nonetheless would always strongly suggest and plead even to voice your support for some of these historic preservation incentives and programs that make projects like this possible. And so I thank you in advance for that. Last but not least, I'll also say that it is tremendously exciting for me to be doing a project like this in the heart of Lexington. It is not a city that I have been to before, and I've been to a lot of cities across the country, big and small. And so in my short time here, I have been absolutely blown away by the hospitality that has been extended to me, the offering of help and resources, and certainly I extend the invitation to everyone here to please reach out if you have any questions, comments, suggestions. This project is going to be an absolutely open book and fully transparent project, as it rightfully should be. And so I do invite everyone to participate in that process. And again, I thank you in advance. So with that, I thank the mayor again for hosting us and just making this city where this project is going to be located really above and beyond. And it's not lost on me that a place like Lexington has so much to offer in terms of culture and historicism, food, no less. That's a pleasant find for me as well. And so, just the idea of doing a project like this in such a dynamic city, I think it will really just underscore the value that something like this is going to further deliver and benefit the city for. So, with that, I'll turn it back over, and thank you again.
And certainly a dynamic city indeed. And with that, we are so honored to have Mayor Gordon with us today. We've asked Mayor Gordon if she wouldn't mind to come up and say a few words as we conclude. Please, Mayor Gordon.
Thank you so much for being here, everyone. You know, it's our 250th birthday, and June is Come Home Month. You know, we're inviting everybody who ever had a connection to come back. Mark, where'd you go? He'll be here. This is a wonderful occasion to celebrate the rehabilitation of Lexington's true architectural treasure, the Pope Villa. And I want to thank Jonathan, as well as everyone involved with the Bluegrass Trust. And I think that the dedication that those of you who are part of the trust have had is exceptional. because you have to stay for the long game, right? It's not the short game. So this year, the Trust is celebrating 70 years of preservation leadership. Since its founding in 1955 with the restoration of Hopemont, the organization has done remarkable work to protect and promote Lexington's historic places. And today is another milestone in that legacy. The Pope Villa stands as a unique, nationally significant example of early American design. It offers a rare and important record of the work of Benjamin Henry Latrobe, widely known as the father of American architecture. This is not just a beautiful home, and it is beautiful till you go inside. It will be. But it's not just a beautiful home, it's the best surviving example of Latrobe's residential architecture. And it's one of the most important structures of the federal era in all of the United States of America. And it's right here. So I will say for years the future of the Pope Villa was a bit uncertain. And I have not visited here for quite a few years. And the first time I came, I was a bit horrified when I went in. But thanks to, again, the perseverance and the long game of the Bluegrass Trust and the passionate members of our community, we're here today. And this is about new life and new purpose for this special landmark. I'm especially pleased that the development agreement has been reached with Mitchell Park Companies to continue the work, thank you very much, Mark, and ensure the Pope Villa's preservation for many generations to come. So as we celebrate Lexington's 250th birthday all year this year, we reflect on the legacy of a city that was once known as the Athens of the West. That legacy lives on in places like this. And so today, we show that Lexington remains a vibrant city, a city with vision. That's what this is about. A city that values its history, embraces its culture, and honors its architectural heritage. Congratulations to all of you who have helped bring this to a reality. We are so excited, and we love your dedication and your belief in the power of preservation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for joining us for this very special announcement. We now invite you to come into Pope Villa, take a self-guided tour. We have refreshments upstairs, and as a very special giveaway, we have prints of Latrobe's original drawings of this building, and we would like each of you to take one home with you as you go to remember this milestone event. Before we open the door, if I could have our photographer, if we could get a photograph. Mayor, if you don't mind, I'll do a quick group picture. Group picture.
Okay. Wait. Nobody smile. Don't smile.
Not recent.
working class here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, you've been working on
It's great to see
Right there. Oh, okay.